Pace is dropped on a wall pass Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here, John here, Jarrett there, you there. Plenty to talk about this morning. We have guests, as we always do on Wall Pass Wednesday, and as always, anything's on the table. There's Spurs looking for investors. Luis Rubiales gets arrested at the airport. Sasha Kleshin, Des Moines Menace, playing tonight. In Open Cup, we've got Open Cup. Tyler Pilgrim joining us at 9:15 to discuss She Believes, anything else on his mind, Atlanta United, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, 10 o'clock. Sean McDaniel from Chattanooga Red Wolves is going to catch up with us at 10:30 for a little bit, and he's going to break down what the early part of the season has been like for Red Wolves as they get ready for Apotheos tonight in Open Cup. Kickoff at 7:45, according to U.S. Soccer and the websites. Got pushed back a little bit. So 7:45 kick for Apotheos and Red Wolves tonight. So, Jarrett, any clue what to anticipate with this one tonight with Red Wolves and Apotheos?
Nope. Look, man, we've seen Red Wolves. It'll be fun to catch up with Coach and hear about how things are going for them. We saw them on a personal level earlier in the season in preseason against Atlanta United, too.
Right.
Apotheos, we haven't really seen yet other than an open door friendly because their first U.S. Open Cup game was canceled.
Yes,
and
that's
the NPSL season hasn't started yet.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, you're just kind of throwing the 20-sided die here and seeing what pops up.
It will be interesting tonight to see what it looks like at Silverbacks Park. For those of you anywhere close to the environment, morning will, go ahead, drop by. That's the beauty of the Open Cup. We can catch up. We can see each other. So the plan is to kind of be there for a little bit and see what's going on when it comes to Apotheos and with Chattanooga Red Wolves. And so GM Sean McDaniel catching up with us at 10:30 this morning. So Tyler doing a couple of minutes. And so with opening kickoff, and as always, it's brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code. For those of you who are watching, however you're watching us in a video sense, either on the YouTube channel, on the Twitch, or the 280-character app, you hit that QR code, you go to our friends at Kickoff Coffee, and then when you check out and you start your day, or maybe kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee, use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Yesterday, up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, it was crowded. Man, it was crowded up there yesterday. You had multiple teams practicing on the same pieces of grass, and that means that it was both Atlanta United and it was the women's national team as they get ready for the first part of the semifinals of She Believes this weekend. By the way, once again, more than 45,000 tickets sold. The idea here is to get past 49,540. 49,540. That is the largest attendance for something that is heavily non-competitional. And so 49,540 is what you're chasing right now. More than 45,000 have been sold. So anticipating with walk-up that you'll get past it, but I think you want to walk in the door and sit there and say, yeah, we've sold more than 50,000 heading into this particular match. Morning, Alex. Morning, Ropes. So yesterday, they had the press conference opportunity, and you got to catch up with folks. Emily Sonnet, it's a chance for her to return home. Here's her thoughts about coming back in, I think it's the first time in like over a decade that she's had the chance to play in Atlanta.
I thought, will I be old enough to use it? I do think it's a great market. I think it's a great, I just think of weather year round, being able to train here. I think it's great that it's coming to Atlanta. Obviously biased, but yeah, that's one of my first thoughts.
How would you explain the city's rise as kind of a soccer city, a soccer hotbed?
Yeah, I know. I think it's kind of interesting. I was here, obviously, the first year that the MLS team started. So to see how successful that was, with marketing, you're seeing how everyone's going. That's, you're getting 50, 60K, like people come to the game. Did I think it was going to be that way? I'm not sure, but I cannot believe how much it was capitalized on. And being able to, I think I've gone to 2 or 3 Atlanta United games. Okay. Being away, obviously, in season. Yeah. But being able to come back and see that energy is, I think, something that we're going to get for our game here.
No joke. when you get 50,000 in Mercedes-Benz. Going to be very, very cool. The 300 level, once again, open. So fill up the 300 level. Alex Morgan, all business. She was all BIDNESS. And so when Maddie Cruz caught up with her, here's what Alex was thinking about facing Japan on the weekend.
Well, Japan plays so well as a team. They've also, I think, in the recent years been really good with their transition. They defend really compact, and they are very patient. And when they win the ball, they go forward very quickly. And we've seen a lot of different ways they've been able to score goals. We used to play them a lot more than we actually have in the last couple of years, but they're a quality team that will challenge us, and this is going to be a great opportunity for us in preparation for the Olympics.
No doubt about that either. And once again, winners here on the Saturday doubleheader, they go to the Death Star, lower.com field, and they get to play in the final for the She Believes for 2024. Once again, thanks to Maddie for going up there yesterday and catching up with women's national team, getting to watch a little Atlanta United practice at the same time. So Jarrett, full times and fun times up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground yesterday.
This is a knock-on effect. If you want Atlanta to be one of the epicenters, if not the epicenter of U.S. soccer, this is one of the things you will run into, in that everybody is in town at once and everything is happening at once. And even when it's not, you'll have at least somebody doing something.
Yes.
It's just part of it. It's going to be busy. It's fine. It's fun. Enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that they're here. Go, if you're able to go watch them this Sunday, great. Or Saturday, excuse me. If not, just flip on a TV, adjust the rabbit ears, put on some tinfoil on the rabbit ears if you need to strengthen the signal. I don't know, man. Do what you got to do.
No, it's fun to see how things have really picked up speed, and there are a lot of events around town attached to the women's national team. I think Lindsey Horan, Bart met up with Lindsey Horan, and Lindsey
Horan did a meet and greet last night.
Yeah, so it was a meet and greet, I think, at Fido with a wrapped van. And so you're having these kinds of things that are attached to it too. So a lot of stuff going on around town, and the opportunities to catch up with folks who are there. I think Twyla Kilgore has her virtual meeting this afternoon with the media, and so it continues from there. But
and I will also use this platform,
yes,
and any other to continuously demand respect for Alex Morgan's career pivot from like young speed demon, the whole baby horse gimmick from back in the day, to like back to goal, hold up number 9, bringing others into the play in this full pivot that she's done in her career, and give the woman her flowers. She's had to change the way she's played. She can still run if she has to, and if she wants to. The woman has evolved her game, and I will continue to demand respect for Alex Morgan's ability to change the way she plays. So yeah.
Yes.
Also, the non-zero chance that she will square up with troublemakers.
And we appreciate that, because you never want to draw the ire and the anger of an Alex Morgan, especially in a situation where she feels that her club has been aggrieved.
No, yeah, there is that. Also, I think Alex and Ropes are having a spat right now on the Twitch pitch, because I believe the Sheffield Derby is this weekend over at Limburg. So,
oh wow, okay. So they're getting their shots in, but of course that's what Wall Pass Wednesday is all about. Speaking of which, I tried to filibuster to 9:50 and I couldn't quite make it. We're going to bring in Tyler, and it's time for Tyler's visit on a bunch of different topics. Whose study did you invade?
My in-laws, and which I'm having to use my Mac microphone like a savage. I don't have my microphone or a headset or anything.
I mean, it literally looked like you drifted into like some clue set or something like that.
I know. The murder happened just outside the door. It wasn't in my room.
No. So, with the candlestick, it's Tyler hanging out with us this morning, as he always does. And so since we'll start with the women's national team, because if folks look at some of the still photographs and the casuals on social media that came out yesterday with the multi-practice event that was at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, you could look to you could look to stage right, off of stage right, and see that Tyler was there yesterday. So the idea of having to juggle both practices and learn about both the women's national team and Atlanta United. What was it like up there yesterday?
It was chaotic. It was very chaotic. But it was good. I mean, of course, the women's national team coming is going to be maybe the highlight, because the Atlanta United stuff is business as normal for the most part. But tons of media out there, which is great. And you got to talk to Emily, got to talk to Alex Morgan. I mean, super great. And of course, Emily being the hometown hero is just really cool. But yeah, I mean, it was neat to be able to hear from them, and both, to hear out of their own mouths. I know everybody is excited about it, but to hear both of them talk about just how excited they are to have a home in Atlanta, it's really cool. It's really cool. And it's just another, I think, moment of pride for people in Georgia.
Jarrett, for Tyler, first question, go.
Yeah, and I guess for the anticipation with this, I guess not just having a home here, but do you expect a little bit of a showing out from some of the local players when they get a chance to not just show out on the field, but also take everybody around and show them why Atlanta is the place that it's going to be in terms of the epicenter here?
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that, because one of the things that that Emily mentioned yesterday was how a lot of the women were asking, like, hey, where's a good coffee shop? Where do we go shopping at? What do we do while we're here? Because she said that they were staying kind of like around downtown somewhere.
Around downtown.
Oh, I'm telling you, Jerusalem Bakery is a walking distance away from the training ground.
Right.
Yes. Y'all want good falafel.
Yes.
Yep. But she pointed out a coffee shop, and I forget the name of it. It's in Grant Park. And the name is escaping me right now. But anyway, she was explaining, like, it's such a great place. She talked about, being here as a kid and playing like down in Columbus, and the ungodly heat and humidity, and about how it made her fitness so much better and prepared her for her whole career. Essentially, it was really funny. But no, I mean, she's essentially acting as the tour guide.
She's the ambassador.
Really, yeah. And she gave the warning of the pollen as well. So they're all getting used to the pollen.
As if the field wasn't dusted with pollen, surely.
Right. Just a yellow haze over everything out there.
It's like, wait a second, this grass isn't green. What's going on here? What's all that stuff kicking up? Obviously, right now, this is part of the big blast-off week for Atlanta and the National Training Center reveal, groundbreaking. I imagine there's probably going to be on Monday morning some ceremonial clipping of a piece of tape with a rather large pair of scissors, those things. And you're going to have, and I think it's safe to say, even though we haven't sold that many tickets, you're going to have north of 50,000 people watching a She Believes semifinal at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And it continues to adds to the dossier. It adds to the legend that Atlanta is building here when it comes to, like, not just Major League Soccer. As Emily Sonnet said, it is having a She Believes, having all of those dates coming up in 26. By the way, we still don't have a 27 schedule or a home venue yet, just out loud. But I mean, it's another step in the stage of the growth of all of this and the foundation that is Atlanta and national soccer, really, and international soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote an article about it, and I'm trying to think of the number. I think it's 45,517 was what they told us yesterday morning, about almost 24 hours ago. So you're north of the 45,000 mark. They said the current record for a friendly, because this is considered a friendly, which is, it's a technicality, but it's a friendly.
Yeah.
Is 49,000. So I mean,
49,540. Yeah.
Yep. I think you can do it. But either way, for the women's national team not to have been here since the Georgia Dome was still standing, right? And since then, you've had Atlanta United come in, break record after record after record, everything else going on in soccer in Atlanta, of course, the recent news that y'all hit on a lot with Roswell and USL Super League, and so many good things happening. And now you have, big time players, 2-time World Cup winner, hometown heroes, everything coming here and talking about how grateful they are to have a home and have a place to where they all can come before a major tournament. And it was funny, Alex, she did drop one of her last lines that she dropped in the press conference yesterday was, I hope to see a women's team here in Atlanta one day.
I mean, don't we all, man? Like an NWSL.
Mm.
Yep.
I mean, look, the leagues are out there. The USLS is out there. That's part of what the USL Roswell project is looking to lean into. Arthur Blank has he has unsolicited. He has told Mike and Jason on 92.9, hey, he has mentioned women's soccer. And I think that you can find your avenues and everyone can continue to grow the sport however you wish to do so. I think you can find your road and you'll be okay with all of these different things that you can have here. I forgot to ask, what's the mug this morning? I am completely remiss.
It is John Wayne.
There we go. All right. There you go. Attaboy. Yeah,
So,
Pilgrim. Yeah,
Pilgrim.
I got boy Pilgrim. I get
Yep.
it. I'm right
Yep,
there.
that's it.
I'm down. All right. So have you volunteered to let them know, considering that that the National Training Center is going to be on the south side? Have you given the Southern Crescent scouting report to the women's national team?
No, and I need to let them know what's going on down in the southern reaches.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured let them break ground on it first, right? Like,
okay, all right,
get past the first moments. I mean, they came here, they were shocked by the 9,000 pollen count. They got tricked with the breezy weather yesterday, so it wasn't even like it was hot outside. I don't know. I mean, I hope I have plenty of time to make it happen, though.
Well, I mean, the ACOG did tell the IOC that the average temperature was in the low 70s.
Yep, I was about to say. When we got the Olympics, they told them like the average temperature in the summer was 70.
Yeah. It didn't say that was at 3.
Hey, you know what though? It's fine, because anytime you feel like, oh man, we lied to the IOC, don't worry about it, because next time you bid for anything, the guys you talk to will already be in jail for corruption, and it'll be a whole new group of people to lie to. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So
the biggest heist since Ocean's 11.
There you go. All right. So you've had a couple days. You've written about other things, and you've had the chance to digest another big victory for Atlanta United at home, continuing to do what a lot of folks, including themselves, think that they are supposed to do, and that is come away with full points and do so at home. And then everybody anticipates what's going to happen on the road, and you've got to steal points. You got to get points on the road. You got to get full points on the road. Now that you've had a couple days to digest another Atlanta United home win, what sticks in your mind?
Even when they weren't playing their best, they still looked way better than Chicago ever did that day. And, we had that conversation about Hugo and his $12 million price tag, and he was basically invisible on the pitch. There was really nobody that stood out except for Carlos Terán with the red card. That was crazy. But, the first half was just, it was choppy. I think the passing was just a little off, but we always have that throwback of you find a way to win even when the football isn't pretty, and you get the goal because everything was, it was close, right? There were things that were coming off the way that they were supposed to, but it just wasn't a full sequence. It was never a full sequence until it was, with Giakoumakis getting that first goal before the half. And they came out in the second half, and Pineda mentioned it in the press conference that he was unhappy essentially with how strong, or rather how flat-footed Atlanta looked and how strong Chicago looked in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of adjusted and they got back on the gas pedal. You hate to see Giakoumakis go out, which they said yesterday he's day to day. So
as are we all, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited for Jamal Tiare. He got thrown into a rough one in Toronto, as did half the team. But for him to come out on his birthday and just be a menace is what you want to see out of any striker, but especially your backup. Super happy for him. He could have had the hat trick if it weren't for that, pesky offside flag. But I liked it. It wasn't pretty necessarily. I think it was better than the Orlando game in terms of like how pretty, quote unquote, it was. But I mean, you got 3 points and you got a clean sheet again.
Yes.
Take it all day.
No doubt about it. So this was the moment that Tyler was alluding to, once again, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV Plus and Major League Soccer.
Not what you would call a traditional winger that doesn't want to defend. He's going to cover his mate.
This is what they expected from him. Signed as a Georgian DP last year in August of last season. And we have a straight red card that comes out of the pocket of referee Lucas Spala.
And just see, it's actually, just as he comes in here, oh, that's awful. That is awful. Such a poor challenge.
When Danny Higginbotham goes, that's a poor challenge. And to add injury to insult, Tehran got an envelope from the league disciplinary folks for not leaving the field in a timely manner. So here's a little something extra in your paycheck, sir.
I wish they would have just came out and said, no, you're getting 3 games because you tried to break a man's leg. Like, I will be the first to say, you get out there, you're playing, your legs are tired. Like, sometimes you get in that mindset of, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. You go to challenge for a ball, and your leg just doesn't go where you wanted it to go. But to put your foot through somebody's leg like that, stud straight into the calf, I mean, whether it was purely on accident or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've seen suspensions get handed out for much less in this league. And so for them, I guess to cover it up, hide it, whatever you want to call it, behind, oh, he didn't leave the field in a timely manner. I don't think that was the problem. But it doesn't matter. He needed to come off, and I personally feel like he needed a little extra as well. So
fined an undisclosed amount, according to our friends at Major League Soccer, for failing to leave the field in a timely manner in the 84th minute of the match on March 31. So
he's just an honorary member of House Bolton, and he's trying to bring flaying back.
And I mean, it's you end up with a couple of great moments for Jamal Thierry, and when you look at Jamal, and I think the same can be said about Sean De Silva, I used the Vinnie Johnson reference from the Bad Boys and the Detroit Pistons. They look like they're rhythm guys. And also when you get that first one, they want to go after that second one. They're getting those touches, they're getting the shots, they're feeling confident about themselves. And so I think that with those two up top, I think the more you feed them, the more chances they get to finish the deal. And I think the more confident they become. And you got to see that with Jamal with those 2 goals on the birthday brace, which I cannot remember the last time a birthday brace has happened in Major League.
Right. And I think it's a little unfair too to look back at last week being Toronto and judge a whole lot on that match. Now, I mean, I've said it over and over again. I feel like Atlanta could have won that game still, but they didn't. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be difficult when you're missing, 5-6 players. There's no easy way to make that happen. It doesn't matter how much you train together. You're not playing 90 minutes together in a competitive match. It just doesn't equate.
Right.
So it's a little unfair to judge him based on that. But then he comes in a moment when it really matters, where he has the majority of his, normal team with him and the normal talent that you're going to have on the pitch. And I mean, instantly makes an impact, instantly in the right place. And then credit to Brooks and Almada and everybody else on that side for, starting that goal. But yeah, I mean, you look back at Toronto last week, and that was his first, I think, real opportunity to make anything happen, but it was still kind of unfair. But then he comes in this one as the sub, and he does exactly what you want your backup striker to do, which is score goals. And yeah, I hope, like you said, this is what kind of kicks him off, and he can keep that momentum going forward whenever he's called upon.
Jarrett for at Scarves, the letter N Spikes, at ATL Pilgrim this morning on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
So let's talk about the old man. He might fight us if we called him that, but a couple games into the season now, Brad Guzan looks pretty good now that his Achilles is healed. He's not getting kicked in the legs constantly. Is it just being a year on from surgery, or did the man find the fountain of youth? Because he looks spry for his age.
I'm so glad you used that word, because I've been using the words spry and springy about Brad Guzan, which is not words I thought I'd put in the same sentence together. And that's not a knock against Brad. I just don't know that I've ever referred to anybody as springy or spry. But no, I mean, I think the dude just needed a Christmas with his family. Like, you've had your Achilles, you had was it the MCL, I think, in New York City?
When he got rolled by, was it Keaton Parks? And Keaton Parks doesn't even get called for a foul.
And then played 45 minutes after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the mental aspect of that injury, or both of those injuries, is so tough to push through when you recover that quickly. You have no break to just kind of create a barrier between the injury and playing again. And so, I think this offseason was what he needed. I think he just needed to get away from playing the game for a little bit so that he didn't have to think about his knee or his, ankle every single day. And he's come back and he's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league, like statistically, and he just looks good. Like, he passes the eye test and he passes the number test.
Well, and Alex is wondering, he also looks slimmer this year. I think Dell is mentioning that he's been doing yoga. And Will, with the most serious question about Brad Guzan. Tyler, the people must know, is Brad an energy vampire, and have we seen Josh Cohen recently?
We saw Josh Cohen in that clip that's been going around now, where I think Jamal Chiari scored that second goal, and Giacomakis jumps up off the bench and Josh Cohen's right behind him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's found the book somewhere and he's secretly pulling in some youth from everybody on the team. But now that you say it, though, I actually haven't seen Josh Cohen yesterday at training. I'm trying to think if I saw him or not. I saw the rest of the goalkeeper core, but hey, conspiracy theories abound. I don't know.
But now that Will has posited the idea of the energy vampire, maybe is Josh inside the actual Children's Health Care of Atlanta training facility, and he's kind of up against a wall with some AC adapters that are attached, and
something attached to his head.
Yep. And then the other one, you have that the chain link that goes about 6 feet away, and then that's where Brad stands in, and Brad gets locked into position, and you sit there and you take energy from one to the other as you need it,
pulling it all in,
that kind of a thing. When we also, coming up, I know that it's we're going to be looking at She Believes Cup on Saturday, but you've also got Atlanta United and NYCFC, and this is not quite at the U12 futsal pitch known as Yankee Stadium. It is over in Queens at Citi Field, and NYCFC just ain't good right now. They just ain't. And this is another opportunity for Atlanta to get points on the road. A lot of folks are going, okay, Nick Cushing, we talked hot seat yesterday on the show. Nick Cushing is probably in the Eastern Conference toward the top of the list when it comes to being on the hot seat. It's an opportunity for Atlanta United to go into one of those environments where you're going from the first baseline down to the left field foul pole and playing soccer. It's a chance, and I think you go into this anticipating mentally, we've got to get a result here. We should get a result here going up against NYC.
Yeah, there's so many variables, and I always talk about the variables in terms of like what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, New York City's not good. They're not. Like, they're just not a good football team right now.
Right.
And so it's always gonna be tough because you're going and playing on a baseball field. I get that. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Thankfully, Citi Field is marginally bigger than Yankee Stadium, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of at least the the square footage that they're going to have.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't even think a result is. I think you have to get the win. I
Yeah.
really do. Like you need to get some wins at some point in this. In this early part of the season away, you have to get them. And you go back and you look at all the teams that have won MLS Cup or won Supporter Shield over the past, I don't know, like 9 years or something, and you're sitting at around somewhere between 6 and 9 away wins during the season. So this is one that you should do. You should get the win here. And it is a weird environment. And I know for a lot of the newer players, they're going to be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I asked Caleb Wiley and Jay Fortune yesterday about it. How different is it going up there, especially Jay? I don't know if he'll play. I'm assuming he will, but for a midfielder, you're playing in very, very, very tight spaces. It's already tight, but it's exponentially tighter when you're in that midfield spot on a baseball field. So, they both just kind of shook their head and they said, we're going to play our game. We may have to adapt a little bit. And Jay said something I thought was very wise beyond his years. And he said, we know that not every game that we win this year is going to be pretty, and that's okay. But we're still going to get the win. And, I like that attitude. I like that attitude from him, but they both understand the difficulties and the challenges of playing on such a small pitch. But they said, like we have heard all season, they're going to play their game. They're focused inward. They're going to do what they do. And they know that they're the better team.
And you get to try to do it. I like I said, it's not quite the U12 pitch where it is regulation, according to Major League Soccer. But Peter Vermes can walk it off and sit there and go, no, this is 67. This is not 70. When you go into a situation like this, you have to think almost that percentage faster, if you know what I'm saying, because if a pitch is, say, 25% smaller in surface area, you've got to think that much faster because of things coming back at you. You have to process quicker. You've got to sit there and anticipate that the distance between the two lines ain't going to be what you're normally used to. And so everything compresses, but your brain has to work almost in an inverse proportion. You've got to think quicker as things get smaller. And it's an odd vibe to go to New York in either situation.
Yeah. And also from like a player's perspective, you play on a real regulation size pitch and you're training and, you're that guy. Let's say you're Bartosz Slish and you're the guy pinging a long ball over the midfield to Saba, making a run down the right-hand side. Well, when you do that 157 times in training on a regulation size pitch, you get pretty good at it. You're used to what you got to put on the ball and everything else. And then you go up to a baseball field and you have to adjust everything back down. And like you said, your speed, your mental speed, your thought process has to be quicker. Everything has to be quicker because it's just that much or that little distance to cover. So that was something that came up last year. Pineda, when New York City away week comes up, he will rope off the training ground to a much smaller size. And, they almost had it last year, even despite all the craziness with Brad and everything else. I mean, you didn't look bad up there last year. You're playing a team that's worse this year on a slightly bigger pitch. Again, variables, you have all the variables going for you. So I think, you've got to look at this as we're going to go and win this game and not just barely win it. Like you need to go and dominate a team on the road and help build that confidence up. I like it. I think, I'm optimistic about it. I think you have your opportunity here to show that everything you talked about in the preseason and all the work that you put in to try to be better on the road, this is the opportunity to show that it's going to pay off. And
you mentioned something that it didn't trigger until you had mentioned it, just the waiting on, and I mean WEIGHTING, not the WAITING, but the weight that you're putting on a pass has to be altered because you're used to a certain distance and a certain weight, and it's like, okay, my follow through has to be X to get it from point A to point B. That's altered because of the distance that's there, and so it is a mental advantage that you have to push through for NYC in those environments to make sure that, okay, I need to take a little bit off of it here. I need to add a little bit more here. It's an odd duck, as we say here south of the Mason-Dixon line when you go and play at NYC, either at City or at Yankee Stadium. There's been some talk in the Twitch pitch about Aiden McFadden, and we know he's being loaned out. I don't think there has been any kind of official announcement as to where. And it's simply with Aiden comes down to the numbers game, wanting to get Aiden quality minutes, making sure that his game continues to grow and evolve, and that he's not just sitting on a bench someplace. Traditionally in the past, he's been loaned out to USL Championship. Like I said, we don't know where specifically, but once again, it looks like Aiden is off to go get minutes someplace, but we don't know where yet.
Yeah, it's a little odd, I think, because it's not like you have a ton of fullback depth. Like, I mean, you have players that can do it, but I mean, you have Caleb, who's going to be going to the Olympics. I'm assuming, and this is not like, don't fact check me on this yet, please. But Ronald Hernandez, Venezuela, Copa America.
Yeah. Luis for Peru.
Yep.
So I would say that you lose Luis. You lose. If Ronald heads to Venezuela, vamos Venezuela. You got that, but at the same time, I think if you look at it that way, with Caleb and with Ronald and with Luis, I think what that also says is your confidence level that you have in individuals like Matthew Edwards, like Efren Morales, and Noah Cobb. And so I think that's how I would look at it. If you're losing those individuals, I think that what you're seeing with Atlanta United too, and with the academy, with what Steve Cook is doing, you're seeing the confidence that's there in those younger players. And once again, we talked about Noah Cobb and how he has continued to become more and more comfortable at the MLS level, having a guy like Derek Williams off your left shoulder to help you with his 10 years of experience in the league. So I think that there is a confidence factor in the growth curve of the younger guys that we were just talking about here. So they feel, and like, I don't know what the recall mechanism would be yet. Like I said, we anticipate it happening. We've been told it's happening. We just don't know where. We don't know the particulars, and we don't know the when. But I think that there's a confidence factor in the younger guys that is adding to this as to where you're looking to get Aiden some minutes.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm all for. I like Aiden McFadden. I really do. I just, he's been here for a minute, and the opportunities have been there, and it just seems like he's stuck in that purgatory of like not MLS and maybe too good for next pro.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. It's also the last year of his contract. So is that a sign that maybe they're just trying to, this might be one of those cases where, he told us at the beginning of the season, the loan last year was, it was mutual. Like he wanted to go play. He wanted minutes.
Yeah.
And so they made it happen. And I just wonder if it's kind of essentially come to the forefront that look at that. That was cool. That was cool. That, he's maybe not going to be getting as much time as he wants.
Yeah.
And you loan him out, and maybe part of that agreement is for whatever club that they've got this agreement with, they're just going to buy him at the end of the season. I don't know. I mean, because I don't know if it's an option. So I don't know if it's one of those. It could just be they loan him out and then he becomes a quote unquote free agent, and then they just pick him up immediately. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But I think ultimately, for an Atlanta perspective, you're looking at a guy who, he's had the time. I like him. I think he's good. I just don't know that he's going to fit in going forward. And then you talk about the guys behind him that can potentially play in those spots that need the time. I don't think you're losing any quality by giving them those opportunities, especially if you look at the way Noah Cobb played the other day. I thought he was great. I get that's two slightly different positions, but the pipeline is there for these younger guys. And if Aiden McFadden's not going to be a part of the future here, then yeah, I mean, you've got to clear out space so that you can give these young guys that time.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, we are waiting on the definitive answer as to the where and the when and the I's crossed and T's dotted and those kinds of things when it comes to Aiden McFadden and all of that. Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos has a question for Tyler Pilgrim on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
What's up, Tyler? How you doing?
How's it going?
Sorry, y'all. Had to jump in a little bit later. I had to do a quick phone call and then I lost track of time. So that's on me. But I'm here. I'm here now.
I do that all the
time. I think my question is, since we're talking about Aiden McFadden, I mean, I saw when that came out and like I don't believe it's been confirmed which club he's going to yet.
No.
Initial thoughts on what you were thinking about it, because I thought it was a weird trade because we need more depth in that fullback area. And so what was your initial reaction to it, and where are some clubs you think he might be going to?
Is Stephen Glass on line one, maybe?
I know, right? I was just thinking, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back and head back up to Memphis. I also think, our good friends, the Battery.
Dell will be happy to hear you say that. Del Schaefer in the Twitch pitch.
I know, right? The thing is, Aiden can fit. Aiden is a versatile player. He really is. And he's actually learned a lot, I think, being at Atlanta over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I think it's made him less one-dimensional. I really think he could drop into just about any USL championship team, period, and get plenty of minutes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, though, honestly, just to see him go straight back to Memphis. I wouldn't be surprised at it. So I don't know. But yeah, I think with the depth, like I mentioned it a minute ago, but it is odd. But we also have seen over the past, especially since Garth has been here, so the past, a little over calendar year, that they're not making these moves without a plan in place. So there's clearly something, whether it is like, John mentioned, you're just making room for the young guys to come up, or maybe there's some other kind of loan move coming in like they did with Daniel Rios, which, was kind of out of nowhere, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, it seems like this is the beginning, like the first cog turning.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to start turning a few others. And I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of weeks if we see something else happen.
Yep. Ronald, folks are asking in the Twitch pitch about Ronald Hernandez, Emilio specifically, and Ronald is in the last year of his deal. He on New Year's Eve, that is officially it. When it turns New Year's Day, that is it for Ronald Hernandez in this current contract. You have, just to let everybody know, Brad, but I think there's another option here. Dax, Jamal, Daniel Rios, who's on loan, Ronald Hernandez, Nick Firmino, Aiden McFadden, Efren Morales, Tyler Wolf, Jay Fortune. That is your New Year's Eve 2024 contract update. And so, if you and Emilio mentions the point, if Ronald goes, then Aiden comes back. But once again, it's you're looking at trying to figure out, okay, is there interest? Do you do something while you have control of the asset and try to do something in the summer window? Do you need Ronald and his experience to get you through this run because of the multiple competitions? All these different things are in play. And the fact that we can have this conversation about all these different things being in play and needing all of the depth and having the depth coming from a bunch of different places, it's a conversation you want to have. You don't want to be like NYCFC sitting there going, man, the twos last night against Red Bulls 2 in Open Cup. You don't want to, if they win, then let's have Nick Cushing. Let's put the twos play NYC. And if loser leave town match, and if Cushing loses to the twos, then he goes and coaches the twos, and the twos come up and get promoted. You want to have these conversations. I mean, you want to be in a position where you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, if then, instead of being, at the bottom of the table and sitting there going, man, how do we slog our way out of this? These are conversations about depth and all these different angles that you want to have, and you're having them this year with Atlanta United too, and Atlanta United.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that kind of pops out to me about Atlanta's fullbacks is it's not easy to find the type of fullback that Atlanta wants.
Mm-mm.
Like they're kind of unicorns in MLS. I mean, you look at Brooks Lennon and Caleb Wiley, and they're both improving on their defensive game, but they're very attack oriented. And Pineda has said over and over again that he wants his fullbacks, like they're defenders first and foremost. They have to defend well. And that's been a big focus, as the whole team tries to improve their defensive capabilities, especially over the last 2 seasons. But they innately have the ability to go forward and make something happen. And I just don't know that you've seen a ton of that with Ronald Hernandez and Aiden McFadden in the time that Aiden with the twos to a degree, but still, I don't even think as much as you would like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, maybe it is one of those situations where they have somebody in mind and they're trying to make that move for a little bit of depth. I don't know. I mean, this is all speculation. This is just me playing football manager in my head, but that's as we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the type of the profile of fullback that Pineda wants on this team, this is not a knock against either one of them, Ronald Hernandez or Aiden McFadden, but I just don't know that they quite fit the profile that the club wants.
And quoting one of the great character actors of the 20th century in a role from The Hunt for Red October, Russians don't take a dump, son, without a plan.
That is true.
Fred Dalton Thompson. So you have all of it. You're playing Vulcan chess is what you're trying to do. You're trying to play Vulcan chess, and everybody else is trying to play checkers here in Major League Soccer.
Trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the best.
I mean, that's what you're trying to do. It's, you're trying to sit there and work in 3 dimensions, if not 4, and figure out, okay, what can we do here and this and this and this and this and this. And then you end up with, as I flip the conversation to the rest of Major League Soccer, you end up with LAFC, who brings in your doppelganger, apparently, come the summer transfer window, and Olivier Giroud. See, now this is what we need. Maddie, this is what we need when LAFC in the summer plays Atlanta United. We need a side-by-side comparison of Tyler and Olivier Giroud. Tyler has to get rid of the hat, but nevertheless, we need these side-by-side facial comparisons between Olivier Giroud and Tyler Pilgrim. That's what we need. Is
this your long-lost twin?
I mean, it could be a doppelganger. That's what we're staring at. Yeah.
I don't know in what universe anybody thinks I look like that beautiful man. Because it's certainly not this one.
No, but you got guys like LAFC and John Thorrington. They want to sit there and go right up to the edge. Inter Miami apparently has signed someone else new, and with all of the injuries, and it literally is you're trying to slide folks in when folks get injured. What can we do to fill this space? What does this count against the cap? Messi and friends signed Leo Afonso, by the way, for the 24 season, option spanning 25 to 27. He was their second round selection from the University of Virginia. So you would anticipate that he's not going to be that much of a deal up against the cap. But you got guys like Thorrington, you've got guys like Chris Henderson, you got guys like Carlos Bocanegra with Atlanta. They're trying to figure out how they can make things work, where we see folks like in Seattle right now who are at the bottom of the table and they're just injured and they're stuck. And they don't have the same kind of ways to go around the situation like we're seeing with, like we're discussing here with LA, with Messi and friends, and with Atlanta.
Yeah. And it's funny because like you talk about Giroud, and it's crazy how LA missing one key piece can go from one of the best teams in the league to just like what happened.
Dude, they only had 18 guys on their roster at the beginning of the season. They still needed to fill roster space.
That's true. It's great. You can barely fill out the team sheet. But yeah, I mean, we always talk about the parity in the league, and sometimes I get irritated hearing that word over and over again, but it's true. And, one team one year can look totally different come the end of February when the league starts back up. But it doesn't just stop at the beginning of the season.
What?
Right? Like,
What?
I don't, it's revelationary or anything, bombshell, but you got to continue looking. And Bocanegra, I've said it before, but like Bocanegra can bring in the talent. He's shown he can bring in the talent, but you have Garth Lagerwey up there who I think provides a little bit more of a vision, and you have them working together. And I actually think it's a really good thing. I think both that pairing is really, really solid. And so, yeah, if this is the beginning of a series of chess moves, I mean, I'll sit back and watch, and I'll enjoy it and see what happens.
All right. So speaking of sitting back and watching things and seeing what happens, I know that you and the SNS folks are going to be at She Believes, but then there's something at a shiny hotel close by that we need to talk about.
Yeah, we are going to be just after the doubleheader. We're going to be over at the Nest on 4 bar, which is at the Signia by Hilton Hotel, which is that big glass building right next to the Benz, next to the backyard.
Where it is not $7 a night to get a room.
Right. It is not. That is true. But the bar is open to the public. You just go in the doors, go up the escalators to the 4th floor. And yeah, we're going to be doing the live show, talking about She Believes Cup and previewing the Atlanta match. And then we're going to just sit down and hang out at the bar and watch the game.
There you go.
Hopefully watch a win.
There it is. So Tyler, Scarves and Spikes, at Scarves, the letter N Spikes on the 280 character app, at ATL Pilgrim on the 280 character app. Enjoy the stuff out of your John Wayne mug, and just make sure that Colonel Mustard does not chase after you with the candlestick there in the substitute studio. And obviously we're going to be, we'll see you this weekend there at Mercedes-Benz with 50,000 of our best friends. And we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do on a Wall Pass Wednesday, because it always goes off the rails.
We appreciate it.
There you go. That's Tyler. And so Tyler's going to, go have breakfast or something, some 5-course meal, it'll be like off to the sides and, the long rectangular table and all those kinds of things. Yes, Tyler, would you like an extra thing in your coffee? So yeah, you get the cubes of sugar. You sit there. How many cubes of sugar would you like, Mr. Pilgrim? Yes, 3. Okay, fine. You have the folks with the white gloves, and they bow and genuflect. And so, I mean, when you got a study like that, you got to take full advantage of it, Maddie. I mean, seriously, you got to take full advantage of something like that. And I think Tyler's doing it.
That was a full, you really set the scene there for what it was going to be like.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Pilgrim, you have to take your hat off at the table, sir, if you're going to have breakfast here at the long table. Since it's been a bit since we've had you on, now that the Derek Williams piece is out at soccerdownhere.net, what was it like putting that one together?
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, because one thing that really stuck out to me was when he had his talk with the media before the match on Sunday. He talked a lot about, his communication and how he's very vocal on the field. And that was a big thing for him. One thing that also really captured me was he mentioned, it's how you speak to people. And he said that he had to learn that throughout a little bit. And so I wanted to know more about that. So, in asking him about that, I learned, that he learned it when he was traded from the LA Galaxy to DC United, and that, he played well, but he didn't feel like his relationships really stuck. And so kind of figuring that out and that balance with it. And, I feel like you've heard from every other player there, Jay Fortune, everyone else who has talked about Derek in that back line says that he's always talking to them, even if they're in the midfield, if they're in the front line. He's always communicating. He's always saying stuff that he sees. And I think that's very important to a squad.
Nothing like having somebody at full chirp behind you for a full 90 minutes. It's like, so how's the weather up there? What's going on? Hey, how move, all those kinds of things. Having somebody at full chirp, that's going to keep you engaged mentally, even if there is no real direct connection with what's going on in front of you. Since we got to listen to the sound that you picked up from Emily Sonnet and Alex Morgan, what other takeaways did you have from practice yesterday?
I mean, a lot of the questions were really based off of you're in Atlanta, this is the home of US soccer now, kind of just, it was fun. It was so fun. Alex was talking a lot about how the younger players, it's that mix. They have players that are 16, 17 years old, and how that dynamic has kind of been adjusting for them.
Yep.
especially going into the She Believes Cup, how it's going to be a huge game for them to really see where they're at for the Olympics. She Believes is going to be huge for that, and figuring out who's going to make it and what it's going to look like when they go compete there. And then Emily Sonnet, it was a lot about, her being a homegrown, her being from Marietta, and just seeing the growth of soccer. One thing I loved is how she explained how soccer's really grown in Atlanta, and a lot of that is due to the growth of Atlanta United. But something she also really clued in on was it's always been here. They just needed an outlet for it to, fester and grow. And it's fun. I'm excited for the rest of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is doubleheader. She Believes right now north of 45,000 for the friendly record. 49,540 is what we're looking at. And so, like I said, I anticipate we'll get there. It'd be nice if you walked in the door with 50, then you had your walk up and you're north of 50 for the friendly that is the She Believes Cup. Coming up at Mercedes-Benz on Saturday, 12:30. Pregame starts at 12 on 92.9 The Game. Jess and Jason will have the call for you there. And that's going to be a hoot. And it's going to be a part of a very, very busy Saturday for them. Very, very busy week for them because Maddie got to hang out with Jess on the Southern Crescent a couple days ago and do some really cool things that were attached. I mean, folks might have seen this on social, but what was all that about where they got to see the picture of you and Jess? What was going on in the area in the Southern Crescent south of the city?
Yeah, so all the week leading up to the She Believes Cup, USA, the federation, they're partnering with AYSO, and basically it's just, to let kids come out and play soccer. It's just getting kids involved and getting them wanting to play soccer. And it was so fun. Me and Jess were coaching little kids. She was the coach, I was the assistant coach, obviously.
So were you the get back coach, or what was going on here?
I mean, it was really just I would set up some cones and then we both would just be hanging out with the kids. We played a lot of 3v3, 4v4. It was just fun. It was a fun couple hours of just playing soccer and, getting to just spread the beautiful game. It was a lot of fun. I was very, very sweaty afterwards though. It was because it was the weird overcast, but you would think it was going to rain, and then there was no wind, there was nothing. It was just heat. Thick. And so it was, the weather was not it, but it was so much fun.
Yeah. So all these events are going to be in and around the city for the week leading up to She Believes. A very, very cool kickoff for the She Believes Cup this week. And once again, 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Kickoff 12:30, probably 12:38 or something like that. And so the pregame starts at noon on Saturday. And we'll all be there, I guess, in some various and sundry capacity. Tyler and the Scarves and Spikes guys are going to do their after show over at Signia. So if you can't get in the door, you can go to Signia and you can go heckle them. So there's a bunch of things to discuss with them, and it's going to be great. It's a great environment and great to have all this stuff going on here in the city of Atlanta. And it's going to be a very, very busy 3 years. And I think that this is probably the unofficial kickoff of all of that stuff that's going on for the next handful of seasons. Yesterday, we had Open Cup, and, we always like to sit there and look at Open Cup and go, okay, hey, what happened? Who's doing what, where, and when? And we ended up with some scores, and there were some scores that were surprising in one way or another. And we also had the CONCACAF Champions League. CONCACAF Champions League is the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It is the Triple C, and I know that Dylan Butler, who heard me screw that up, he's going to let me have it here when it comes to what's going on. So, Dylan, yes, I know I called it the old CCL instead of the Triple C, and so I guess that's 9 lashes with a cat o' nine tail or something.
Listen, CCL has a better. It still has a better ring.
Mm-hmm.
CCC. Not so much. So.
Yeah, the Triple C. It sounds like something from the American president. It sounds like something that's one of those firms that recruits and is giving funds to candidates. The Triple C. So that's what that sounds like. We were talking about everything Major League Soccer before you came on, in the Triple C and the CCL, or the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, or whatever you want to call it, and question came up, and it might be somewhat rhetorical. Why is it that we are still playing in baseball stadia in 2024? Any clues? Other than the fact that NYCFC is now finally building Dillon Butler Estates, and they will be gradually moving to that building. Why in the first division of American soccer are we still playing in baseball stadia in these ideas and environs? Other than a lack of facilities and perhaps not having the insight and sitting there going, okay, we've got a cool place, we're good, and not wanting to actually build Dillon Butler Estates like they are in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously in New York, it's not easy to get the land needed to deal with all the political wrangling and everything that brings with it a big construction project. So it's funny. I'm pretty well, obviously, listen, it's named after me, so I'm pretty well versed in how this whole thing started. But ironically enough, like pretty much where NYCFC landed is where they started this whole highfalutin search for a stadium. The only problem in the first part of it was it wasn't. It was like a few hundred yards over inside of Flushing Meadows Corona Park. So some elderly women, as far as I think the story went, heard that parkland was being taken away for some darn soccer team. So they were up in arms, and NYCFC were the new neighbors on the block. They don't want to ruffle feathers, so they said, "All right, we'll back off. Well, no problem. We'll look elsewhere."
Okay.
And then they circled all the way back after numerous home venues to more or less where they began, which is, as I've stated numerous times, the best place to build said stadium in New York City. So that's a little bit of a long-winded way to say, at least in the New York City perspective, that's the reason they're still, they have these relationships. There's no actual NFL football team that plays in New York, even though there's two have the name. They play on the other side of the river. And that's something that has not, whenever NYCFC has gone to the other side of the river to a beautiful, amazing stadium at Red Bull Arena, it's not gone well for the fans. So
no, and they play. They play on the other side of the river where the cabbies drive their Crown Vics, and they have their entire display of warnings on their dashboard lighting up and driving 70 miles an hour to get you from Newark to a hotel. Maddie Cruz, as we tour Major League Soccer, Maddie Cruz for Dillon Butler.
I'm glad you brought up the field, because I've been saying this for years. My family is so tired of me bringing it up whenever we play NYCFC. I always am like, there's no way that this is like any close to the standard, but it's
regulation. It's regulation, Dylan. In quotation marks. I mean, Peter Vermees.
I was about to say Vermees, I think, was the only one who went like full Hoosiers on this and brought out the measuring tape and all that.
Correct, and he said it was 66.
That was Yankee Stadium, yeah. Although there's, I think, more room actually to play with at Citi Field, but NYCFC is just sort of like, listen, we go by these dimensions everywhere we play now. Like it's
our regulation dimensions at our other stadium are this, and so we are translating it here to Citi Field. It is regulation in both buildings.
That's gonna be an interesting thing, right? For the new stadium, like do they just go ahead and get wider, and obviously there's no pitching mound to worry about.
True.
Or are they just like, listen, man, this is how we rolled for since our existence, and we're just gonna stick with this mini pitch.
Yeah, and Rich Ransom, our resident Philadelphia Union fan, says it also helps to have 25% Yankees ownership in addition to everything from CFG.
I do wonder though if that changes in the near future.
Yeah, it could be.
I think the Yankee ownership was tied in with obviously the rental of the field, but it's not exactly done NYCFC wonders when you're kind of paying like $1 million a game to rent it out, and and the relationship there has sort of, like NYCFC. I always kind of liken it, guys, to like, they were your buddy who was like, listen, I'm looking for a house, right? I'm looking for a place to live. Can I just crash on your couch for a little bit? And you're like, yeah, of course, man. No doubt. My couch, mi casa, suka. And then like, how many years later, you're like, dude, what are you doing in my house?
Drill bit Taylor.
I know you're paying some rent here, but please, like, when are you finding this house? So
it's like, I'd like to, have, a date with my wife. We'd like to have some time to ourselves.
So like the relationship isn't great.
No, it is not. Rich, letting us know about CFG, but a question from our buddy Ropes, one of our resident Evertonian fans, and this is probably something in the Northeast that has, kind of rankled some folks. What happened to the Revs? What happened to the Revs, man?
Yeah. So the optimist in me was hoping it was like, you know what? We're putting all of our eggs into the CCC basket. We'll take some hits in the league, but we've got high aspirations here. We kind of bulldozed some lower level teams in the early goings of this competition. So listen, we're gonna swing for the best in the region. So those eggs got cracked last night.
Oh yeah, it was 3-0 in a hurry, 4-0, and it wasn't even that close. So I mean,
are you guys like fans of the movie Goodfellas?
Maddie, are you a Goodfellas person or no?
I've seen the movie, yes.
Okay, so she's
like, I can quote. I'm like obsessed with it, so I can quote like every.
So go ahead and quote Goodfellas. Where are you going with this?
Well, no, and obviously, look, this is a PG program, so
we have explicit ratings available on tape.
But like, you know what? Last night was like for the Revs. That was like, and apologies for if there's any spoilers here if anyone's not seen the movie. But it's the point where Tommy gets whacked.
Okay.
And then and the old man like is on the phone. He's like, and that's that. He's just like, that's kind of what it was like last night for the Revs. Like, and that's that.
Joe Pesci in the cornfield. In Casino. One of those kinds of things. It's just, you look at the Revs, and Caleb Porter, he said after the match, he goes, it's like having 11 DPs when he's looking at Club America.
Oh, it's one of those now. Okay.
Yeah, that's from our friends at Blazing Musket. It was basically, it's like them having 11 DPs. He's not surprised by their quality. We weren't naive at all on the caliber of this team. I said it would be one of the best teams that our players would ever play, and we got humbled today. They were the better team. They brought in guys off the bench that were DPs in Major League Soccer. That's difficult. You're playing a team that can manage the window a lot better than we can. Very good quality out of their team everywhere. It's like having 11 DPs. That was Caleb Porter last night.
That's the you go into your book of excuses, and you open it up to like chapter 7 when it's taking on Mexican teams, and that's where the depth. I mean, look, I'm not. It is true. Obviously, when you go from like 12 to 20 on your roster, the money spent for Mexican teams is far greater than MLS teams. It's lessened in recent years through various mechanisms, but for sure, yeah. Listen, if you want to go that route, yes, you're right. But I'm pretty sure you were facing an early, 3-0 at halftime, maybe?
Yeah.
Like I was on the Crew Tigres match for MLS last night, so I had it like in the picture, but I'm pretty sure you're 11 and they're 11. When it was full 11, like you were still getting crushed. So
yeah, and as Caleb Porter continues to reference the choose your adventure quote machine and figure out, okay, if I pull this noun, this verb, and you end up with cliche alert. So let's go to your other one. And you end up with a match that started 2 hours late because of
Yeah.
everything that was going on with Mother Nature, who really is the only one who's undefeated when it comes to these kinds of things. And it was, Crew were hanging, and then Aiden Morris.
I mean, listen, they were more than hanging. Like, they were taking the game to Tigres. Like, this game, and not to cut you off there, John,
No.
but like, this was sensational. Like, this is like the two matches I was really looking forward to if teams were full strength, and I mean that with Miami tonight, right? Like, was Miami Monterrey and Tigres Crew, because I think these are, and obviously Club America is right there too, but like, these are some of the best teams in the region, right? So, like, and with the star power. So, I thought it was it was like such a great chess match of two teams sticking to their principles and playing their styles, and you hope that the Crew doesn't look back on this and be like, man, we didn't take all our chances at home. Yeah. Like you hope that they can get something when they go to Monterrey in a week's time, but there were opportunities there, like, a few from Rossi early, like 22nd minute, that the ball over the top from Schulte, that he settles so well, and the second touch was heavy, and then late, that 2-on-1, right? Like,
yeah,
that's got to be finished. And that now if you're 2-1 up, you go to Monterrey, and yes, you've conceded the away goal through Gignac, of course.
I'm shocked.
But, yeah, exactly. His 11,000th CCC goal.
Crazy.
But you feel a little bit better of that situation, but I think you still feel pretty good. Like, listen, Tigres has not lost to an MLS team at home, but you don't have to necessarily win, right? You've got to score goals.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yes, listen, Aiden Morris, like, you've got to be smarter. Less than 2 minutes earlier that you picked up a yellow, and a silly one at that as well, right? Like, for yapping at the official, like, now you can't go full blooded into a challenge. Like, it's just not wise.
And it's just
so. I mean, he'll be obviously a big miss. And will the Cucho situation be resolved by then?
See, you're reading my notes, and I wanted to Sean McDaniel, GM for Chattanooga Red Wolves, joining us in a little more than 10 minutes to talk Open Cup from League One. The whole Cucho thing, I think that the three of us will stipulate that Wilfred Nancy is a bad man, and we mean that in the most positive way possible. He really is. He is leading the top team in Major League Soccer right now, and they've got the roster to back it up in places. But right now, for the second match in a row, Wilfred Nancy has basically said, we're here to do things in a collective. I'm not here to talk about Cucho. And basically, Cucho is what George Orwell referred to, I think, as an unperson right now when it comes to Columbus Crew. And it makes you wonder what things would be like, obviously, if Cucho was a part of this equation. But stepping away from that, you see what the Crew are as a collective without Cucho, still being competitive in that match at home against Tigres, despite the missed opportunities that we just talked about. They're still hanging in there even without Cucho, and the Cucho thing, Wilfred Nancy don't want to talk about it. He's like, he ain't here. We're talking about who's here.
And it is a little bit similar to last year, like Leagues Cup, right? I think it was our first match. Maddie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Zella Ryan just got transferred, right? So, like, now it's like, how do we play without Lucas? And they get a big resounding win in Leagues Cup against I forgot which club it was, but that proved it right there, right? Like, this is why they won MLS Cup and are a favorite to do so again, right? Or win the Supporters Shield. Like, the club is bigger than any one player. And, again, if you have your glass half full, even though there were some missed opportunities there, Diego Rossi gets on the score sheet, right?
Mhm.
Like, and Nancy has said it about him too. Once we get one from Diego, they're going to come in bunches. So we'll see if that happens. And then you know what? Let's say this is a short-term thing for Cucho. He comes back. I'm sure he comes back a little peed off, right, for having to sit.
Yeah.
And now you've got two guys humming, right, in the attacking third. So that can't be a bad thing either.
Matty Cruz touring Major League Soccer with Dylan Butler. What else is on your mind?
Ooh, I mean, I think that leads into my next question, though, of like, obviously it's still really early on in the seasons for all of these clubs, but
Not
in
too
your
early for hot takes, though.
Exactly.
not too early for hot takes. In your opinion, looking at the Western and the Eastern, who is your top 4?
Ooh.
In both conferences. Top 4 after just like when the season's over? Or like
That
like,
or
like
based
power
off-
rank
based
right
off-
now.
Yeah, probably based off right now.
Right now,
Uh,
Dylan Butler power rankings for right now.
Yeah. I will go Crew in the East. Crew,
Okay.
Cincinnati,
Mhm.
Atlanta,
Okay.
Red Bull.
All right. All right.
Miami like a 5 there.
Yeah, I just they'll win something, but I don't think they'll win everything.
Yeah.
Where's your defense?
Yeah, where's the defense? Exactly.
West is completely the opposite of what we had
Oh,
this time last year.
Oh my God.
Right? Like who would be one?
Galaxy?
LA. Yeah. I mean LA, Salt Lake, Vancouver. Right? Like you can't even really go LA, maybe LAFC after that. Yeah, no, I mean, completely opposite of what, like, these are teams that didn't make the playoffs last year, which I love it. I love the chaos. So,
well, I mean,
if we're looking at the results from last year in the Western Conference, it was St. Louis number 1, Seattle 2, LAFC 3, and Houston 4, and Salt Lake was 5.
Yeah.
And LA Galaxy was like
19th.
Second to last.
19th in the West.
They were 19th in the West last year.
And now they're number 1.
Well, it's amazing.
Which sets up perfectly for Saturday, right?
You got your first El Trafico of 24. See,
you are allowed to say that, right? Like I know our buddies are on right now, but
I am. I mean, hell, I was born in the 714. I can say it. So so Maddie, are you pro or con El Trafico as the nickname for LA Galaxy and LAFC? Do you like it or do you hate it?
I like it because I like it because I really like the matchup in itself, and I like that it has this cool little like nickname because I feel like that's what I feel like if any rivalry you get, you want something to kind of like pin it. And I feel like it's been said for so often that it's like, oh yeah, it's El Trafico. That's what it is.
And you want something unique to that area that those two teams play, right? I mean, like traffic isn't unique, but like you think of LA as traffic, right? Like
yes, you do.
Like up here, it's not as sexy. It's like Hudson River Derby, which is all right. It's they battle on either side of the Hudson, but like if Red Bull were in New York City proper, like I don't know, it could be like this Subway something or other, or like I don't know.
Subway Series. Wait, that's taken.
Oh yeah, it's already taken.
I mean, it's so we're allowed to say El Trafico on the show. Jason is the one who despises El Trafico as a nickname, and I'm all.
I love the man, but
one of the things that we do disagree is on El Trafico as a nickname, and I mean, yesterday we even got into hot seats and things like that, and what we tried to do is go to the bottom of the table in each conference and look at hot seats, and we couldn't quite figure out. Nick Cushing for us on the show yesterday, we were like, yeah, we think that Nick's on the hot seat. And we were also wondering that, maybe after what happened last night in Open Cup, that maybe you should have NYCFC 2 playing on the weekend, or they should have a matchup against the first team, and whoever wins that one is the one that shows up on the weekend and plays in Major League Soccer.
Like the old wrestling loser leaves town.
It is a loser leave town match, exactly. And so then that means that if the first team played the second team and the second team won, that meant that Nick Cushing would have to coach the first team and play an MLS Next Pro for a week. And then they would have the midweek matchup to figure out, okay, is it going to be the second team that plays and travels, or is it the first team that
I'm telling you guys again, like I've said it before, but I'm sticking with it. When my new stadium opens up, the manager on that day for NYCFC is Pep Guardiola.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I mean, it would not shock me one bit that Pep Guardiola would be walking into those first steps of Dylan Butler Estates and going, I like this stadium because my lovely apartment, it's over there. And literally all he's got to do is he's got to point to Central Park West and that direction. He's probably got the 8-figure apartment that's got like 4 bedrooms and the double stacked storage.
Wrap around windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am right there with you when it comes to Pep Guardiola and NYC. And then he brings back Tati Castellanos and everything will be fine, at least with Jarrett anyway. What's going on with you with MLSsoccer.com? What do they have you working on this weekend?
Yeah, like I said, did last night. CCC action. I was supposed to be on a lacrosse game tonight, not happening. So what's next? Saturday night, MLS action. So it's going to be a tough one because I'm all about just sort of having to see everything happening. I'm like a 360 guy. But man, I got to keep an eye on that El Tráfico match. Mm-hmm. Like, I might have to double screen that or something. Figure something out there.
Right there with you with our boy Kevin Egan as a part of this. So as always, Dylan, it's great to have you come in and crash on Wednesdays at Dylan_Butler on the 280 character app. Be safe. Enjoy your morning. Oh, what's in the mug this morning? Or where is the mug this morning?
I got it right here. Hang on. Since we spoke about them earlier,
yes.
We'll go.
Aha, there you go. Your pinstripes, New York Yankees. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to have you coming on to talk about Major League Soccer. Enjoy El Tráfico. There we said.
Yes, sir.
Be good. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you, John. See you, Matty.
There you go. That's Dylan. And to answer Emilio's questions and Ropes' questions, no clue. Ropes wants to know what Cucho did. We have no idea. And that's how locked in everything is in Columbus right now, is that we don't know what happened. I mean, it's like there was an alluded to event when he was pulled, I want to say in the Charlotte match, and he and Wilfred Nancy were going back and forth and they were getting a little woofing going. That's the only thing that folks are alluding to that was in the public sphere. We do not know. And this is like state secret CIA kind of stuff that we're talking about here when it comes to what's going on with Cucho and Wilfred Nancy with these two. We have no idea specifically, but a lot of folks are going back to that moment when Cucho was pulled. He wasn't happy. He's yelling at Nancy. They go at it a little bit. And basically Wilfred Nancy's like, well, bruh, I'm the one who's in charge. That's it. I'm the one who's in charge. This is not your club. This is me. I'm the manager. And so you are now seeing what is going on with Wilfred Nancy and Cucho Hernandez. Yeah, what's up, Maddie?
Which I will say, I mean, the fact that I feel like when stuff like this happens, we always know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like Columbus is doing a good job of at least keeping it very close to the chest. Yeah. Because, it's one of those things you don't want to publicly shame a player.
No.
In that, you just don't.
Well, some coaches do, but Wilfred Nancy doesn't see that kind of.
I really like the way that he coaches. I really do love watching Columbus play. Mm-hmm. I think they're a very good team, and I think he's done a great job coaching there. And I think he's doing a good job of not really mentioning what's happening. It's an in-house thing, and that's what you want it to be. You want it to be solved in-house. You don't want the outside to kind of impact everything that's going on, because sometimes that happens, and sometimes it causes a lot more turmoil than you want it to be. It could just be a little disagreement between a coach and a player, and then they talk about it, and then everything's fine. But I mean, I would say good credit to Columbus for keeping that pretty close knit and like kind of dealing with it in house, if that is what they're going for.
Yeah. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to right now with Columbus. Since it is 10:30 for this one, and it looks like we're going to Chattanooga. He's not on the road yet, considering it's probably a good 3-hour drive with traffic coming from Chattanooga to get to Silverbacks Park in suburban Atlanta, because Open Cup continues today. I feel like I need to have like some kind of reverb in my voice. Open Cup continues today. Sean McDaniel is going to be joining us here, and he's going to get the Chattanooga Red Wolves perspective on stuff, the president and GM of said Red Wolves. And let me bring Sean into the discussion here. Sean, my friend, good to see you.
Good morning.
So we are showing our beverages, and obviously I have my Mountain Dew here. Maddie is keeping her beverage close to the vest. What is your cup/mug, and what is in it this morning?
Well, it's not a fancy cup, but it's
That's
coffee, and coffee flows through my veins all day, every day.
Well, Gonzalo Pineda, the head coach of Atlanta United, was asked about this because much like you, he is always seen like this. He has that cup. He's right there with it. He was asked how many cups of coffee he has during the day. His doctor told him to peel back. He has peeled back to 14.
Yeah. Just like Coach, here's my cup. And just like Coach, I too have been requested to peel back. And look, peel back is in the eye of the beholder, but I'm well over double digits on the coffee during the day. So I feel his pain.
Wow. I mean, that's wild that you like Gonzalo Pineda are double digits in your coffee. I was not aware of this.
Yeah. And it doesn't even affect me at night, not to go off topic here, but the reality is I am a coffee addict, and I'll admit it here on the broadcast, and I probably need help.
Nothing wrong. No, sir. No. The reason that we have you on a Wall Pass Wednesday is that Wall Pass Wednesday traditionally is where I know this shocks you, but the show does go off the rails occasionally. But we go Wall Pass Wednesday. It's like I come in with a topic, you come in with a topic, we go back and forth, and we could go random and go off the walls. So the fact that you say that you are a coffee addict and go double digits with your cups of coffee, that fits what we're doing here on the morning show. It's absolutely fine. No, there is no fear in bringing up that kind of a conversation here, sir. None.
Well, if I can be a help and a voice of reason for anybody else out there, or they just want to have a support group, we can double dip for sure.
All right,
we can start one together because I'm in the same boat too. I have a coffee right next to me, and it probably won't be my last one of the day.
Yeah,
well,
so
at least we have 3 in the group now, so we can launch.
Yes, exactly. So a reason we had you on is we wanted to discuss a couple of things. We wanted to discuss the season to date in USL League One, discuss what's going on at the stadium because you're playing a lot of road games. But first and foremost, topic tonight is Open Cup. That's the first topic on the board. What was it like to survive your first round match to get ready for this one going up tonight against Apotheos here in suburban Atlanta?
I mean, I hate that we were on the drama side of this, but the reality is this is what the Open Cup is all about. It is about teams rising to an occasion that typically they might not be predicted to do. And while I thought we had a decent match, the reality is we had to fight for our life all the way into overtime. And tonight's going to be no different. Absolutely no different. We're out of town. We're at a well-known park for sure, but something that's not familiar to us. And it's the U.S. Open Cup. It's what exists for teams to be able to rise and win. It's dramatic. It's drama. It's everything.
Maddie Cruz for Sean McDaniel. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I forgot I had to unmute myself. That's important if you want to.
She's stuck drinking her coffee with a mute button. That's what's going on.
No, guys, listen, it happens. It happens occasionally. But I mean, yeah, I mean, looking back, the Open Cup is full of surprises and everything like that. What has been at least the report going in and playing against Apotheos in Silverback Stadium? I know you guys don't know. You guys know it's a historic stadium and not, but what has been the message like around the club this week leading into this match against Apotheos?
Well, I think we can just look at even this year's Open Cup, even though we've had just one and a partial second round completed. If there's anything that's predictable, it's the unpredictability of the outcome of the matches. And the way we look at it, if you're in League One or Championship, MLS, you got a professional club, there's all sorts of scouting and video, and we know who the players are. So it's not difficult to really know about your competition. It's very difficult for us to know who we're playing tonight. That's why it's always a surprise. And, we're putting a good side out there tonight. This isn't, we're not looking past this. This is a top squad for the Red Wolves because we want to win. And we think it's important to win. And when you go into an unknown ocean, so to speak, we have to go with our best 18 because we need the victory because we don't know what to expect from the other side of it.
Yeah, and that's been a key to all of this. And I think that it's also what a lot of folks kind of put to the side, I think to a certain degree, is that you're already in league schedule. I mean, you guys just started league play. You're having to do all of this on the road so far because of a topic that we'll get into in just a little bit. But you've got, you've played on the road. You've played the one match so far, and you're having to do things all over the place. So maybe being on the road, considering that you might be used to being on the road, playing away from home for as long as you will be, it might be part of the equation. But at the same time, it's like midweek weekend. And you said first choice lineup to get you ready for what's going on the weekend, but you're not taking this for granted. It's going to be an interesting challenge, not just now, but tonight and then going forward because of everything that you and Scott McKenzie and Jimmy Weekly and the staff have to juggle with your schedule, making sure you advance in this tournament.
Well, and to even stretch that out further, John, the team went down last night. We went down last night. We stayed in the hotel. We had our team meal. This is treated like every road game we go on. It is that important to us. And, for us, yeah, we've had a delay to our start, particularly at home. The best analogy I have is if you've ever been to a pet store and you have a bunch of puppies in a kennel and you open the door out for the puppies to come tumbling out. That's our players. Like, they want to play. They're ready to kick a soccer ball. They're tired of just watching other teams play. So the expectation's high, certainly from the club standpoint and our fans, and we're treating it as a road game. It's something we need to have success with.
Madison Cruz, go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it also goes from that last match that you guys had against Brockton FC United. You guys had 2 goals leading. You were leading 2-0. And then they were able to come back, equal it up, going in extra time, and you guys battled it out. You guys made it 4-2. What does that say about the resilience of your squad and knowing that if something like that does happen again, you guys know how to battle back?
I think, Madison, what we gather from that is we were shown a red card, so we're down a man late. We were not playing at our home stadium at CHI Memorial Stadium, so it might as well have been on the road. It was a nice facility, but certainly not one we're used to. So when you get to this level in a professional career, excuse making is something that can't exist, because they played on the same field we did. They had the same parameters, same officials, same barriers that we did. I think what it really says is the game's not over until the referee blows the final whistle. And for our players, satisfaction in a tie or a loss is not okay. And going into overtime, that was our best football that we had played the last 2 periods of overtime. And I believe it will carry over and translate into tonight's match.
Sean McDaniel, President and GM, Chattanooga Red Wolves and USL League One, hanging out with us here for a bit of a catch-up and a bit of an Open Cup preview as they play Apotheos in the NPSL tonight. 7:45 kick, according to U.S. Soccer. They pushed it back just a little bit. So 7:45 kick here in suburban Atlanta as they go up against Apotheos, the runner-up in the NPSL season in 2023. For those who haven't had the chance to see the roster build and see what Red Wolves look like in 2024, for those that either are going to the match tonight or going to catch it on the ways that things are streamed these days, you and I are in the TV booth. We're going to do the open to the show. They do the title card over everything, and hey, you're at Silverbacks Park, and it's Red Wolves and Apotheos coming up here in Open Cup. They go to the floor, they go to the field, and they talk about the key players for Chattanooga Red Wolves. From your perspective here early in 2024, with one Open Cup match and the match against Lexington in the barn, who should folks gravitate toward when they're watching Red Wolves tonight go up against Apotheos?
We rebuilt the roster this year. We kept 5 players from last year, so when Scott and I sat down, the season's over, we really worked at what type of culture, footballing, what are all the pieces that need to come together for us to not just make the playoffs, but win something. And what people should expect to see tonight is a great mixture of old and new, familiar and new. And what I mean by that, we have familiar faces that will be in the 18 tonight. Tim Trilk, former Red Wolf, is now back with us. Leo Fola, former Red Wolf, now back with us. Ricky Ruiz, former Red Wolf, now back with us. Long-term players, Walefi, who's been with us since the beginning. Couple that with some new, young, exciting talent. Omar Hernandez from Dalton, Georgia. We have Lucas Coutinho, who's been a League One stalwart from its inception. We have Jameel Roberts, who scored the winning goal against the Chattanooga Red Wolves in the national final 2 years ago. So we've blended those new faces with familiar faces, and let's check back around 10:30 tonight to see if that worked. But I think that's the formula for success.
Maddie, go for it.
I think that's so interesting. You rebuilding this club and rebuilding the team, adding in those previous players. What was that decision-making like to keep those players and then bringing those in? And how has that dynamic been, having them as veterans and then having these new players step up?
I think the best way to describe that, Madison, would be by when you've moved back to a familiar setting, the run up to comfort is a lower run up. And what I mean by that, for our guys that we brought back who were here for a couple of years previously, when they stepped on the field, it was take a deep breath and I'm back in Chattanooga. So they brought to the new faces, hey, this is the culture in Chattanooga. This is what to expect. So the preseason, we actually get to work on footballing stuff and minimize the periphery items of relocating to a new city. And while it may sound like something trivial, the reality is we have been young men from all over the world who've laid eyes on Chattanooga for the first time on February 1st. Well, we blend that in with veterans and players who have been here for a number of years, and they really put their arm around them and say, this is what to expect. This is how it works around here. And so far, so good. I know we've only played 2 matches, but I really like our roster, and I really love how we've been training, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of that tonight.
When you have a new player come in, since you opened this door, let me ask you. When a new player comes to town, there's only so much you can do with WhatsApp and texting and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. When they finally come into town and they're a part of the Red Wolves organization, do you pair those new players that don't know Eastridge from Adam's House Cat with a veteran in a living situation? Is there a buddy system when it comes to Red Wolves and getting these younger players and these newer players acclimated to what it means to be there in Eastridge, in Chattanooga, and in USL League One? How does that work?
We actually, I'll take a couple giant steps back. I'm going to give Scott a lot of credit here because, at the end of the day, the players want to not just be compensated well and have a great environment to play in and live in, but they need to know that the head coach, that the manager is someone who's going to value them. And what Scott did such a great job of for the new players, especially, was he sold the city, he sold the stadium, he sold all the things that Chattanooga has that perhaps even championship teams don't even have, and spent a lot of time, the PowerPoint presentation, the phone calls, the video conferencing. So when the player made the decision to sign with us, it wasn't just a blind signing. They actually had real data to look at and evaluate, so that when they arrive, although they may not be paired off with a veteran, when they're in their group dynamic and their group setting, it really is reality now coming to fruition over what was presented to them on Zoom meetings and PowerPoint presentations. And again, the acclimation period becomes far, far less stressful and strenuous because of the veterans and those who've been here before, and really all the perks and amenities that the club offers.
Maddie, go for it.
I think that's awesome that you have that connection and having that, because I feel like it does a lot for a player when they get to know who the coach is. They get to know a little bit more about it before they make this decision. I think it's an easier transition when they come here and they play, because they already know everything they need to know. I think that's really important. So and also too, I mean, I love that. Sorry, I just had to go in a little like tangent there with that one. But looking back to, obviously you mentioned that last Open Cup game, it was a home game, but it really wasn't a home game. So what is the stadium looking like now? Do you have an update on what that stadium is going to be looking like? Any ideas of a home opener type date for y'all?
So the decision was made by the owner, Bob Martino, back almost at the immediate conclusion of the season last year, to remove the synthetic turf, which was wonderful, and put natural grass down. And there's a number of reasons for him doing that, but most notably, it's a soccer stadium. I mean, when we start talking about the intention and use for CHI Memorial Stadium, it's for soccer matches, not much of anything else, certainly no other sporting events. So putting natural grass down is, I think the players prefer it. And if we can do it, we do it. The challenge we ran into had nothing to do with the grass, the timeline, but we live in the deep South, people, and it rains in the winter and spring. And in some years we get fortunate, and in other years it just rains a whole bunch. And this year it just rained too much, too recently for us to be prepared to play certainly our original home opener, which was March 30th.
Right.
And we just said, hey, let's postpone them, reschedule. And now we're slated to kick off April 20th at home. And the field looks, I mean, I just was out there yesterday afternoon. It's coming along wonderfully, and fully anticipate having a great venue and pitch to play on.
Are you allowed to step on the grass? Do you test it with your foot? Do you sit there and go down to the field level and kind of tamp on it a little bit, or does the groundskeeper sit there and yell at you?
Well, we're almost to where the groundskeeper's yelling at me because it's sacred ground for sure. But man, what a team we have, ensuring they work within the environment and the conditions to get that finished. It looks great. And if I could get out of bed without hurting anymore, I'd like to kick a soccer ball on it one day.
Well, we are looking forward to when the grass is in place and gets the official thumbs up from the groundskeepers and everybody installing it up there at CHI Memorial. When are you leaving and heading this way for the 7:45 kick?
My ride, which is our ticketing superstar, Owen Click, he and I are driving down together probably early this afternoon, so we can partake of the local bar scene and then go cheer us on. So hopefully be down there, before all the Atlanta traffic gets nutty.
Okay, so then you're leaving 3 days ago. I understand.
That's about right.
Yep. 7:45 tonight on a bunch of streaming platforms. It is Chattanooga Red Wolves and Apotheos in Open Cup. Sean, as always, great to catch up with you, my friend. Get the updates of what's going on up there in Chattanooga. We will see you tonight in person, just kind of hanging out and shaking hands, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. See you in a couple hours.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Maddie.
There we go. That's Sean McDaniel, president and GM of Chattanooga Red Wolves. It's always cool to catch up with Sean. Sean is one of those guys that you if you can catch him, it's kind of like grabbing a comet by the tail. And if you can grab that comet by the tail and get Sean for a good 15 to 20 minutes, it's good to catch up with him and find out what's going on. So 7:45 tonight, that is your look at Open Cup from that perspective. That's not the only one that's happening tonight. That's not the only matchup happening tonight. 6 o'clock in Open Cup, it is Miami United, who have some of the best Miami Vice 1980s flashy teal kind of things, the South Florida look from the 80s, some of their retro jerseys, very cool. That's at Ted Hendricks Stadium at 6 o'clock. Maddie, your friend Mark McKeever, the head coach at One Knox, they're hosting Greenville Triumph at Regal Soccer Stadium at 7 o'clock tonight. So I know that two franchises in USL League One going at it, but I know that you had a chance to catch up with Mark McKeever before the season started, and I know that expectations for him in all competitions are pretty high.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially it's kind of, I always loved when you have the Open Cup and you get to face off against like a familiar foe, because I feel like it's not you doing extra recon. You already know this team, you know how they play. And also, too, you know, the uncertainty of the Open Cup, anything can happen. I feel like we're going to see, I feel like that one's definitely going to be one to like keep an eye on, especially when we're all at Apotheos. So I'm going to have that match kind of on notification to see what is going on over there.
Yep. Also at 7 o'clock, it is Tormenta and Savannah Clovers. Tormenta is a -154. Savannah Clovers are part of a Friday conversation that we are hopefully having with some of the hires up in NISA. Right now, Clovers are a +341, but on social media and various and sundry other places, yesterday it was reinforced that Clovers right now are being run by the league, and it is a difficult financial situation for them right now, and it appears that they will make the trip to Statesboro to take on South Georgia Tormenta. And right now, and this is from Dan Creel on the 280 character app, who is is into these discussions in the lower divisions. Multiple sources tell Creel Clovers are currently being funded by NISA. Per those sources, payroll for February was paid in full. Payroll just paid for March was $400 a player. I don't know what the comparison is and what the percentage is. And so you have all of that with the players making the trip to South Georgia Tormenta in the second round, but they are unsure if the team is going to face Michigan Stars in the NISA opener, the match scheduled this Saturday that was supposed to be the kickoff of the Lions schedule. And that's another topic in and of itself, is Lions and Bobcats. That was removed from the NISA schedule as well. So on Friday, just as a bit of a forward tease, it appears that we're going to have somebody from NISA on. And we wanted to discuss what's going on with initially Georgia Lions SCFC. And according to Creel, apparently Lions have hired a coach, and that individual should be arriving this week. They're going to train next week for their first match, and they're supposed to face Club de Lyon on Friday the 12th. That might get moved back a day or two. Bobcats' first NISA match got postponed. Their next match, April 12th against Savannah. And then the Bobcats may not play until May 4th against Michigan if that doesn't happen. Lions FCSC, by the way, on Transfermarkt, they do not have a squad size. You go on Transfermarkt, you look up Georgia Lions, the number of players that are currently listed is 0. So right now it is incumbent upon us on Friday, hopefully when we get an individual from NISA on to discuss what's going on, to find out about 2 teams of the 9 that happen to be in our footprint. But things are very, very difficult right now for both the Clovers and for Georgia Lions FCFC and FCSC. And their venues, by the way, for their home matches is now alternating. Initially, it was going to be strictly in Dalton at, I guess, Dalton Stadium because it was listed with two venues blended into one name, and so we don't know. But as of right now, it is now alternating between Silverbacks Park and the venue in Dalton that had been previously listed. So you got home matches being played in two separate venues, 2 hours apart by travel. Hopefully we can find some answers and get some ideas as to where NISA is in their thought patterns when it comes to vetting and statuses of franchises and all this kind of stuff coming up on Friday in the 10 o'clock hour. That's where it's planned. Vermont Green and Carolina Core. Core favored on the road, Maddie, at a -112. And this is another chance for folks to see what Roy Lassiter gets to do on the touchline there for Carolina Core. We got to see him in MLS Next Pro, got to catch up with him before the match against Atlanta United, too.
This is a good team. I think Carolina Core is going to be one to look out for, especially against Vermont Green. I think one thing that was really interesting talking to him after the Atlanta United 2 match is they played against New England Revolution 2. Mm-hmm. They played them, I believe, on Sunday was what it was. Sunday? I don't know if that math is mathing. Maybe it is.
On the weekend.
I'm going to say Sunday. I think weekend, Sunday, yes. They're playing there, but they're on the road. Mm-hmm. Because New England, they were up in New England, they're on the road, and then they're still on the road now because of Vermont. And so that's a challenge. You know, you don't get to go back to your home training. You don't get to go back to your stadium. You don't get to kind of relax back at home before you go back out. You're on the road for a while. So that's going to be interesting, but I'm excited to see what Carolina Core is going to do tonight.
So, yes, favored once again at 7 o'clock at Vermont Green. Great environment for them first time out of the blocks. Apotheos is a large underdog, no real surprise. Red Wolves are a -833 in that matchup. Apotheos pushing basically a +1250 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. 8 o'clock, Fire 2 and Forward Madison. Forward Madison's a +106. 8:30, Union Omaha, Des Moines Menace. The Murder Owls are a -625 as they host our friends from the Des Moines Menace. And I broke out my, let's find figure it out. There we go. I broke out my Sasha Klestjen Des Moines Menace t-shirt, by the way, to memorialize what's going on there. And there's a great article in The Athletic about Sasha Klestjen and him bringing in a bunch of ringers to help out Des Moines Menace. It was posted this morning by Tommy Scoops at the crack of before dawn. So it's a great article about what our friend Charlie Bales is doing up there with Des Moines Menace. And it looks like Sasha Klestjen is not going to be by himself as they have tried to recruit folks to come into this match for Des Moines Menace tonight. And it looks like Brian Rowe has joined in from formerly of LA Galaxy. Stu Holden's brother, Ewan Holden, is now a part of it. Looks like Roger Espinosa has signed on to play this round for Des Moines. AJ De La Garza has signed to play on for Des Moines in this round. And it's all because of Sasha Klestjen and his Cruton. So you're getting all these guys. They thought about Kai Kamara, wanted to bring in Teshu Akindele. And so apparently Sasha Klestjen's trying to bring in BWP to be a part of this as Des Moines Menace continue to work their way through. And so we'll see what continues to happen here. But it'll be a fun one tonight for a bunch of different reasons. And we'll see if Sasha can have more moments of brilliance, like getting the first goal on the board and figuring out what to do in penalties. So, yes, exactly. 4-card, ABC. A always, B, B, C, Cruton. Always be Cruton. Always be Cruton. Justin Miram, by the way, played for Michigan Stars last night in NISA. So you had that was going on as well. Other activity in the juice boxes in Open Cup, once again, Union Omaha, big favorite tonight at -625. Rapids 2, a big underdog, probably at Dick's Sporting Goods Park against Amon Zayed, and the Hailstorm's a -182. Spokane Velocity, a big favorite against LA Force out of NISA. Ventura County, which is basically Los Dos, LA Galaxy 2. They are big favorites tonight against Irvine Zeta out of NISA at a -208. In other activity in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, 8 o'clock tonight, Messi and friends, they are at home against Monterrey, and the late one is Herediano going up against Pachuca. That is in San Jose, Costa Rica. That is at Estadio Nacional. That is not at the stadium that we all got to see Herediano in when Atlanta United played. This is at the National Stadium, right off the freeways. You're coming from the airport, and you're right on the edge of downtown. Big stadium in the northbound lanes. That is Estadio Nacional, and that is where the matchup is going to get played tonight. So a lot of matchups tonight across the board in CONCACAF, in Open Cup, and all of that. Looks like Luis Rubiales, as this continues, we'll get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo and other stuff before we go. What to watch, where to watch it. Spanish police briefly arrested Luis Rubiales in connection with an alleged graft scandal at the RFEF Football Federation when he was president. Detained at Madrid's Barajas airport shortly after flying in from the Dominican Republic, but released shortly afterwards. Sources close to the probe said he disembarked from the plane under a police escort before being questioned inside the airport. Arrest came 2 weeks after investigators searched 11 locations, including the RFEF Madrid headquarters, Rubiales' house, as a part of a probe into alleged corruption and other crimes. So, and they also had the house raid in the Dominican Republic as well. That's from our friends at Agence France Presse. Don't know if you saw this, but it appears also that Spurs are looking for investors. And Daniel Levy's salary for the folks in his position is apparently one of the top in the Premier League. Charlie Eccleshare and Jack Pitt-Brook, what is it we always say when it comes to multiple reporters? On a story, Spurs are in discussion with prospective investors about selling a stake in the club, according to Daniel Levy. And the financial results were released for the year ending June 30, 2023. Daniel Levy says to capitalize on our long-term potential to continue to invest in the teams and undertake future capital projects, the club requires a significant increase in its equity base. The board and its advisors, Rothschild & Company, are in discussions with prospective investors. Any recommended investment proposal would require the support of the club's shareholders. So Levy's statement led to questions about whether Tottenham's owners were about to sell up, but the club say the talks are over selling a stake, not a full-scale change. Either way, it is for Spurs, who in their results announced they'd made a total loss in the period of £86.8 million, up from £50.1 million in the year ending June 2022. Revenue exceeded half a million pounds for the first time, 24% increase, but they're looking for possible investors at Spurs. So, Maddie, Spurs are looking for folks to help out. You know anybody that can help out Spurs with some investment capital?
Unfortunately, that's not, my strong point in picking that out. But once I know, I'll send him an email. We're pretty close, so I'll let him know.
Yeah, Maddie and Daniel Levy, they're like this. Rebecca Welch.
Coffee. Yeah. We get coffee every Friday.
Exactly. Rebecca Welch named as one of the 21 referees for the Paris Olympics. Emily Carney and David Coote are the other English officials that have been selected, according to Pro. Liz Arfa, Michael Barwagon, Drew Fisher, Brooke Mayo, Catherine Nesbitt, and Tori Penso. They are on the selection to officiate at the Olympic Games this summer. So very, very cool stuff there from our friends at Pro, seeing Tori Penso and Catherine Nesbitt that's attached to it. Vincent Kompany has been charged with misconduct by the FA after being sent off in the 2-2 draw at Chelsea. Kompany has until 1 o'clock on April the 5th, local time, to either to provide his response. Remember, you're allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. So, all right. So it is officially official. Question, De La Garza, Espinoza, Tesho Akindele, Question, Brian Rowe, Ewan Holden. So that's what the Menace are looking like tonight, going up against the Murder Owls of Union Omaha. And like I was showing Maddie, I've got to do a better job of showing here. But there you go. There's the Sasha Question. The Sasha Question Des Moines Menace T-shirt right there.
Oh, my gosh.
So I blame Charlie Bales for putting stuff like that on the market.
Wow.
So we're ready for Sasha Question and that band to be put together. I think, if I remember correctly, they're not getting paid to play, but their expenses are being covered by Charlie Bales in Des Moines. So if the Menace if the Menace can upset the Murder Owls tonight and get a result, we'll try and track down Charlie and see if we can track down Sasha Kleshchin as well and see if we can get them to discuss what's going on here with the Open Cup. But yeah, I broke out the Sasha Kleshchin Des Moines Menace T-shirt because of what's going on today in the Open Cup. So definitely had to do that. All right, so let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch and where to watch it before we go. Remember, Open Cup you can watch on a bunch of different places. You can watch it at MLSsoccer.com. Excuse me. USsoccer.com. That's what happens when you don't drink enough during the show. And stay properly hydrated. Efforting. Well, that's totally on me. So that's what happens when you don't hydrate properly. You get something like that happening. But USsoccer.com, MLSsoccer.com, the YouTubes, the private links, you can usually go on the 280 character app. Someone will post the private links. You can look at them that way too. So here you go. BN and BN en Español have Turkish Super League at 1:30. Copa Libertadores at 6 and 8:30. If you do not have BN and want to watch everything that BN puts out there from the Middle East, North Africa, and the African continent, and Europe and South America, you can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out at Fanatis, helps us here at the network, and you can truly get CDO for the fans, Nuestra Tele, TIC, Liga 1 Max, all the BNs, all that stuff. You can get it in one place at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. Other semifinal in the Open German Cup, Leverkusen and Fortuna Dusseldorf at 2:45 on the U. It's also on the Plus. The CONCACAF Champions Hemispheric Extravaganzas on FS1 at 8 and 10. Miami Monterrey at 8. Pachuca Herediano at 10. USA has your midweek action in the Prem, Arsenal and Luton. Luton is now the one below the relegation line. They're 3 points behind Nottingham Forest at 22 points to 25. ESPN Deportes simulcasting the semifinals of the German Cup. Fox Deportes has the semifinals of the Coupe de France with PSG and Rennes at 3. 2-NA simulcasting the early match in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. Universo simulcasting the Premier League at 2:30. The Plus has the Eredivisie at 12:40. German Cup semis at 2:45. Paramount Plus, first leg of the semi of Coppa Italia, Fiorentina and Atalanta. Peacock has Premier League at 2:30 and 3:15. Brentford, Brighton, Manchester City, and Aston Villa. Brighton has posted the largest profit in the history of a club in a time frame because of all the sales that they had, including Alexis. So Brighton has put up some of the best financials that anyone has ever been able to put up in the Premier League. USsoccer.com, MLSsoccer.com, USLsoccer.com have all of your stuff when it comes to the Open Cup. So that gets you into what the gossip is on the day. Barca looking to wrap up a deal for Ruben Amorim as a replacement for Xavi. Liverpool and Bayern Munich are reassessing their options as Xavi decided to stay at Leverkusen. Barcelona board want to change Xavi's mind about leaving, urging him to stay. Barcelona targeting Erling Haaland in 2025 as part of a signing strategy that they will hope for Xavi to stay. Chelsea may have to sell some of their star players to raise cash to meet profit and sustainability rules, but Reece James wants to stay at Stamford Bridge. He may not have a choice. Arsenal have approached Bayern about Joshua Kimmich, have been told the 29-year-old's future will not be discussed until the summer. Arsenal also appear to be in the pole position for Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi, who's been linked to Bayern Munich. City and Liverpool expect their attempts to sign Leverkusen's midfielder Florian Wirtz to be hampered by Xabi Alonso's decision to stay with the Bundesliga leaders. Real Madrid not interested in signing Kepa Arrizabalaga permanently, and he'll return to Chelsea when his loan spell expires in June. Manchester United have Everton's Jared Branthwaite, Boca Juniors' Aaron Anselmino, and Barca's Mikhail Fai on their wish list for defensive reinforcements. That's from the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Jadon Sancho on loan at Dortmund may get another chance at Manchester United if the club appoints Southampton's Jason Wilcox as director of football. They work together at the academy. United have a concrete interest in appointing Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna as their new boss. He used to work at the club as an assistant under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Real Madrid would like to sign Lenny Yoro, the center back from Lille, who's been linked to United, Liverpool, and Chelsea this summer after he told his club he wants a new challenge. Spurs may be forced to sell Emerson Royal to help fund moves on their window. Leeds, Archie Gray, 18, being watched by Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and other Premier League teams. Marcus Alonso at Barca is in advanced talks with Atletico Madrid about joining on a free. Barca have identified 19-year-old Fiorentina defender Michael Coyote, who also is getting interest from Arsenal, as an alternative to Joao Cancelo. Birmingham are in a pole position ahead of other championship clubs to sign QPR's U18 defender Daryl Carrick, having watched the Scottish centre half on numerous occasions this season. Maddie, yesterday we were supposed to have activity in Northwest Georgia. That did not happen because Mother Nature is who Mother Nature is. So the doubleheader with Calhoun and Sonoraville did not happen yesterday. There is going to be a doubleheader tomorrow in Sonoraville at 5:30 and 7:30. The Calhoun boys will be a part of that discussion, but the Rome girls will be playing Sonoraville at 5:30 tomorrow. Friday, Wesleyan is going to Calhoun to take on Calhoun's girls at 4 o'clock. So those are the next matches on the network. Sonoraville slides from Tuesday to Thursday. We get half of Calhoun on Thursday, the other half of Calhoun on Friday, and Rome, their girls, are the 5:30 coming up on the network tomorrow and Friday. Man, that was a lot to talk about with the weather push. Man, that's a lot. I'm going to catch my breath there. Well, but yeah, and so, obviously we got to thank our friends at Kaiser Permanente for being great sponsors, and all of our other partners for the broadcast schedule. Regular season winding down, that is at the end of next week, and then shortly thereafter it's the playoffs. So April is the sprint continuing for high school stuff. But yeah, we will be in Sonoraville tomorrow, Calhoun on Friday. That will wrap up this week. So spring break. What is this spring break that you are discussing here? This does not exist. Spring break does not exist in this dojo. It does not. Simple. Nope. We do have referee assignments for the weekend. Rosendo Mendoza is the referee for the Atlanta United match at NYCFC. Timothy Ford is the VAR. Oh, that's going to be a bit of an adventure. So we'll keep an eye on that. But the refs assignments are out, and we'll see what else is going on with that. Any other thoughts today before we all go? And could be on anything, because it's a Wild Pass Wednesday. Could be on our guests, could be on our stuff, could be on what's on the air. What else is on your mind before we go?
I'm excited for Open Cup. Open Cup is going to be fun. I'm excited to go see Apotheos. It's my first Apotheos match. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to grab some cool content, and yeah.
So looking forward to that. 7:45 kick. It got slid back a little bit. So if you want to watch, however you stream, 7:45 will be the start of that match on the platforms for the Open Cup. So looking forward to that. Let's see. So thanks to Tyler, who was in the study with the large bookcase behind him. I'm starting to sound like Stevie from Family Guy. Tyler Pilgrim, what are you doing in that room? One of those kinds of things. So thanks to Tyler. Scarves and Spikes. Remember, after the U.S. match, they're going to mosey over to Signia, and they're going to have it to do. And they're going to talk about the U.S. match, and they're going to have a good old time hanging out while they watch the Atlanta United NYC match. So Scarves and Spikes, they'll be over at Signia after the U.S. match on Saturday. It's great, as always, to catch up with Tyler. Great to catch up with Dylan Butler to get what's going on with Major League Soccer. And as always, when you can grab Sean McDaniel by the collar and you can talk to him about Chattanooga Red Wolves early in the season, it's great to get the updates about what's going on up there at CHI Memorial. So, Maddie, since you are here, go ahead and send us home, because I am not properly hydrated, and I would be afraid to mess things up here at the end of the show. So go ahead and send us home here on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
I got you. Thank you, everyone, for listening on this Wall Pass Wednesday, and we will see you bright and early again tomorrow. And that is the end of the show, which means John gets to do this. Mucho platio.